Well, it's October 24th. It's a pretty cold day. Not bad, but it's clear. So I should get some good solar charging done, I think. Yesterday I decided to go ahead and do some laundry. I don't really wear the same clothes for quite a while out here, just out of, well, it's just simpler that way. So I thought I'd show you some of my laundry. Here's a pair of socks. Looks pretty hard. Here's a pair of underwear. This is kind of bizarre, but it's hard. Everything is pretty much frozen solid. That's not just putting too much starch in there, but everything's frozen solid. But the nice thing is that it actually is so cold and dry that the clothes, the ice in the clothes actually sublimates. It doesn't even melt. It goes from ice directly to gas. To wash the clothes, I put them in just a 5-gallon bucket. I filled the bucket a couple days ago with snow and a little bit of water, which I had, and then I brought that inside. After about 3 days, it was mostly water. So yesterday I took that out, put all my dirty clothes in there, and mashed it down with a PVC pipe, kind of like churning butter for a while, which is, I think actually having little chunks of ice in there was kind of abrasive, and it helped break up some of the dirt, because the water turned dirty within, just a minute or so. It's not super clean, but it's, I think it's sanitary and clean enough for out here anyway. It's really difficult to get soap out of clothes when the water is cold, so I'm not even using soap. I just use water, which is also what I'm doing for bathing. But it seemed to work okay. Hung this stuff up. It's not wet, it's just frozen solid right now, but I'm guessing in 3 or 4 days it'll probably be dry and soft. I took Wilson's blanket. I have a couple things that she sleeps on. One of them is a thick blanket, a comforter of sorts. And I mashed that down, got it wet. And I was concerned, that's really thick and it's hard for it to dry, even in a warm, nice weather. But I hung it up actually over by the outhouse under a tarp, and it froze solid very quickly. But after about 4 or 5 days, it was soft again, and completely dry. So that was nice. So basically, after 3 or 4 days out here, wet clothes, even things frozen solid with water in them, will dry. So it looks like doing clothes is pretty simple. The clothes aren't really clean. I mean, they're not. They don't look clean, but I think they're sanitary. I've been here 4 months. I've been doing this, and I've had no health problems, no skin irritation or rashes or anything unpleasant like that. So it seems to be working. So no real complaints. I'm happy that it was that simple. We've also had a good 10 days, I think, of clear skies. So I'm going to go out and do some more wood chopping, carry the wood back here, which is one of the hardest things I do, actually. But when I go out there, I go out to the trailhead, and I take some of my solar power equipment and set it up on the hill, up on that dirt berm, because it gets unobstructed sunlight all day long. And last night I got about a 4-hour charge on the laptop, 80%, which is 4 hours of usage. I charged my phone, my music player, and I didn't do my e-reader yesterday, but I did that a couple days ago. So even now, in the shortened days, I'm getting plenty of sunlight. If I can get off my own property and get up somewhere a little higher and clear, then I'm good, in good shape. Let me show you my yard. Okay, so here's some of the wood piles growing. Here are my solar panels sitting there in the dark, although they do get some sun in the day, but not much. The sun's coming up behind us here, but it's indirect. This is not a great location for the cabin. I probably should have set it up across the way, but there are other construction concerns I have there. But as you can see behind me, we do have some sunlight coming in. It's just on the corner of the property. What I might do is build a platform up in those trees and try to climb up there and then set it up there, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to carry it over to the hill. It's only about 100 yards, so I don't know if I can do that in the winter. What I might do is see if I can climb on top of the cabin and set it up there, but it's still pretty dark. I'm in the shadow of the mountain, so it's kind of a weird weird situation. We get, I don't know when the sun comes up. It's coming up later and later every day, of course. But because I'm behind the mountain, I often don't see it until noon or 12:30 in the morning, in the afternoon. But it will stay up till 6 or 7. So it's kind of like the day comes late in the day. But I don't know. Even with 3 or 4 hours of sunlight a day, I would be golden. I'd get plenty of electricity for what I need to do. I mean, that's way more than I need. Last night, I didn't even use my laptop. I was actually so tired. I went to bed at 8 o'clock. So there's that. Anyway, I need to go ahead and finish moving the rest of that wood over here. I'm going to split it later. And I need to get back up on the roof and put up some more supports. It's really dry now. I do have some snow up there, which I may leave or take off. I'm not sure what I want to do. It's not much. But I put some 2x4 boards across the roof in a couple spots to hold it down, and then I'm tying it down with some metal loops that I'm putting through the structure, and then roping that down to the substructure underneath the cabin. So it's probably overkill, unnecessary, but I don't mind stringing a few ropes just to be safe. When we had those hurricane force winds, it tore off part of the roof and it tore off the siding of the house. So I really don't want to deal with that again, particularly if it's in February and it's dark and it's wet and rainy and cold. The other thing I'm doing here is I'm adding these metal straps. Let's see if I can show you that right here. These are just little metal ribbon, real basic, but I put that around, I don't know, probably 5, 6, 8 places. I'm going to put more on as well. And basically, if the siding starts to get ripped off, it will be held in place by the other side, unless the front of the house also comes off, and that's just unlikely because it's coming from a different direction. But it's a real basic thing, very cheap, but this stuff works like a miracle. They use these a lot in hurricane-prone areas like Florida, hurricane straps, basically. Typically use them to secure the roof to the house, and I also did that, although you can't see that. I did that while I was building the cabin. So I think the actual structure of the roof isn't going to get blown off up here on the hill, but the metal roof that's prone to get blown off. So anyway, I'm going to put in some more supports, and I'm feeling very positive about everything right now. Everything's really coming together. My biggest challenge, my only remaining task, really, is to move this firewood into the yard, and I'm going to stack it up, and I'm going to start splitting it. Although frankly, I could split it later, like in the middle of the winter. I was splitting it at the trailhead, but that is, I'm just going to move it here. I was worried because the ground was too soft, and it was, but now it's pretty hard too. Everything is frozen solid out here, which is wonderful. So anyway, that's where we are. Moving ahead. Another little funny thing that happened yesterday. I was having coffee in the morning, and Wilson walks in with a foot-long severed deer leg in her mouth, and she sets it down and starts munching on it. She was so proud of herself. I kicked her out. I don't want her bringing in pieces of dead animals that big. But, the hoof was on there. The fur was still on it. It was kind of funny. She was so proud of herself. We had some hunters come by last week, I guess, and they killed at least 5 deer that I know of. So it looks like they gutted it down on the beach. But anyway, this morning Wilson came in with a hip from presumably the same deer or one of the other deers. But she's over there behind me right now, munching away on that. So she again looked pretty proud of herself, and I, of course, kicked her out. So anyway, she's having fun. She's not complaining. I brought some toys for her, and she's actually playing with those now. I've got a rubber ball, and she likes to chase that. I got some Frisbees, and we used those 2 or 3 times, and then she bit them, and they shattered, because it is cold. It was down to 19. And then I've also got these plastic bins. Anyway, I've been carrying the wood in that, and those are also starting to shatter. It was like 22 most of yesterday. And so those are actually starting to shatter. I actually had to cut a piece of board and put it in the bin, so hopefully that'll keep it together until I can at least move the rest of that wood. But I got a pretty good sized pile behind me. I've got probably a little bit more than half of it still over there. It's not a lot. Some people were estimating how much wood I needed, and some people thought 6 to 8 cords, maybe 10 cords. Absolutely, that would be overkill. It's also not really possible. I don't have the time or the physical wherewithal to do that. The problem is that there are not. I'm not cutting down trees on this land. I have to go into the forest and cut them down and then carry it in here. So it's. I don't have a four-wheeler. I've got a sled and I've got a backpack, but mostly it's just my own, my arms and back and legs. And I'm sore. I'm really starting to feel it. My wrists and ankles are sore. My lower back is sore. So I'm not going to be doing that. Also, I feel fine. It was 19 yesterday. That's the lowest it's been. The lowest it's supposed to get in the middle of the winter is 10. So, we're talking 9 more degrees of cold. And I'm not even burning the fire yet, and I'm not even wearing my warm clothes. I've got a couple layers on here, but this is a light parka with a little hood and a hat my friend Wendy made for me, and another little cap over that. Underneath, I've got a polypropylene shirt. Let's see what I'm wearing. This green military polypropylene shirt. And then I've got a broadcloth shirt, I think from LL Bean, but that's something I wear to the office sometimes. And then I've got another light jacket, and then this parka over that with a hood. So, and I'm not even moving around. I feel great. So, I'm going to actually strip down probably at least 1 or 2 layers when I start moving the firewood, just because I'll get overly hot. So anyway, if this is as cold as it's going to get, or 10 degrees colder than this, I'm fine. That's without fire. And then if I can burn fire, once a day maybe, I'm finding that 1 log will burn for about 4 hours in that tiny stove, and it heats the whole cabin up 40 degrees. That sounds hard to believe, but remember, the cabin is really small. It's 7 feet by 11 feet inside. It's 8 by 12 on the outside, but the walls are thick. We've got two bodies inside, and that's keeping us warm just by breathing and living in there. I got up this morning, it was 38. I started cooking. I think it went up to 41. Made some rice and beans, and I made some coffee. But I get up and I'm moving around. I feel great. 40 degrees, good grief, that's great. As long as even around freezing, I'm pretty comfortable inside, and I'm getting about 16 to 18 degrees of warmth just by being inside. So if it hits 10 this winter, that would be 25 degrees inside without any heating. Get the fire going, and we'll be fine there. And anyway, so that's where we are, and I think we're in good